What's poppin', people? My name is Duckhead, and today I'd like to discuss how I believe that Dead by Daylight needs somewhat of a Bloodpoint overhaul in terms of how you can spend the blood points and the discrepancies between how many blood points a survivor earns and how many blood points a killer earns. So I'm gonna seek to give solutions to some of these problems in this video. First of all, starting off, before I get into anything, I believe that the more difficult the tasks you have to complete in Dead by Daylight, the more you should be rewarded for it. You'll see that as a theme throughout this video. If something's more difficult, you should be given more for it. So starting off with solo queue, if you queue into a solo queue game, you should get an automatic 100% boost in blood points, in my opinion. If you're not queuing to the game with anyone else, a 100% boost in blood points is extremely fair, because solo queue is regarded to be one of the top two most difficult things you can do in Dead by Daylight. Some people even have it number one, the most difficult thing you can do in Dead by Daylight. So since it's so difficult, you should absolutely be rewarded for it. Moving on, DCing survivors. So if your teammates disconnect, for every teammate that disconnects of yours, you should get a 100% blood point boost for every teammate that disconnects. So if one person disconnects, 100%. If two people disconnect on your team, 200%. If three people disconnect, 300%. Because playing with bots is more difficult than playing with actual teammates. And I know bots are better than nothing, but still, it's more difficult playing with bots. It's harder to win. And you may not make as many points because it's easier for the killer to generate pressure going up against bots. So I believe that you should be rewarded if you stay inside of a game where everyone else is DCing. You should absolutely be rewarded for that. Staying on the topic of disconnecting survivors, I believe that for every survivor that leaves, you should get a multiplication in your actions that you complete in the game. So for example, if one survivor leaves, if one survivor disconnects, you should get a 2 times increase for blood points in each category. So like it makes your bar fill up faster. For example, if you drop a pallet on the killer, you get 1,000 blood points for stunning the killer. So if one survivor DCs, you get 2,000 now. If 2 survivors DC, you should get 3 times more. If 3 survivors DC, you should get 4 times more blood points in the specific categories. So like if 4 survivors disconnect, if you cleanse a totem, for example, like a dole totem, you'll receive 4,000 blood points in the boldness category. A safe unhook is worth 500 points, but if 3 survivors DC, you get 4 times more blood points in each category, then now you'll receive 2,000 points for a safe unhook. Do y'all get what I'm saying? So basically, it's a multiplication of your actions when survivors disconnect, so that your meter can fill up faster, and that can lead to pips, because usually it's like a guaranteed D pip if your teammates DC, but this will at least keep it to where you're able to have a chance of pipping up, right? So that's what I believe. Now moving on to killer. If you go up against a Swift in Dead by Daylight, you should be rewarded for it. So for example, if there is a duo in your lobby, you should be rewarded a 50% increase in blood points as a killer. If there's a trio, you should be rewarded a 75% blood point increase as killer. And if there is a full Swift, you should be rewarded a 100% increase in blood points as killer. I think that's completely fair. It doesn't punish either side for queuing up. It doesn't punish like the Swift for queuing up as a fucking Swift. It doesn't punish them, but it just gives killers more of a reward because it should be more difficult. If you have 2 duos in the lobby, then you get a 50%, so 100% blood point increase in total. I think that's extremely fair. It's not gonna fuck up the balance of Dead by Daylight. It doesn't punish anybody. It just gives the person who's going through more shit, it gives them more of a reward. So yeah, that's my overhaul in terms of what you can do as survivor and killer individually. Now let's get into offerings and things of that nature. I believe that all the individual categories of blood point offerings, so like for example, offerings for altruism, or offerings for deviousness, or offerings for brutality, or offerings for boldness, things of that nature, I think those should all be deleted. They shouldn't be in the blood web. All of them should be deleted. So like if you have those offerings, you can still use them, but they just won't show up in your blood web anymore. I think that escape cakes and survivor puddings should go from being uncommon offerings to common offerings. So now they'll be great offerings. So you'll see a lot more of them in your blood web. And I think that party streamers should go down to being yellow offerings. So they'll be uncommon offerings. They won't be rare offerings anymore. And I believe you should get rid of bound envelopes and hollow shells and things of that nature. Everything should be 100% across the board. That would help people earn more blood points. That would be a good thing for people. And I know, like, I'm trying to figure out, like, what would be a downside of the system. I can't really find one because it would incentivize people to not bring map offerings, which I hate being sent the maps, right, as a killer. Also, it would, if people earn more blood points in this game, your success in this game early on is hinged upon how many blood points you earn. So if you're giving more opportunities to earn more blood points, then you can get those builds on certain survivors or those builds on certain killers that you need. Like, you can get your Decisive Strike from Laura, you can get your Off the Record from Hattie, you can get your Dead Hard from David, or you can get your Jillian from Meg, things of that nature. You can get your Ruin from Hag. You get where I'm going? So it would be good overall for the game because it would kind of lessen the gap between the players who've been playing a long time and the players who just picked up the game. Moving on from offerings, barbecue and chili and We're Gonna Live Forever need to have their fucking effects back. I don't know. I don't understand. It was so crazy because when they did the whole Bloodpoint thing, the whole blood web thing, whatever the fuck, making everything cost less, because they wanted to give us more blood points, they took away the benefit of using barbecue and chili, getting those 4 stacks of getting 100% more blood points in your match as a killer. And it took away that We're Gonna Live Forever getting 4 stacks and getting 100% more blood points if you get safe on hooks. I don't understand why they did that shit. Like, I ran We're Gonna Live Forever despite it not really doing anything as a survivor just because I wanted the fucking blood point boost. But they took the shit away. There's absolutely no reason for them to take that shit away. They should put it back into the game. There's nothing wrong with it. Absolutely fucking nothing wrong with it. I would like to see that come back. Moving on to shrine perks. So I believe that you should get 250,000 blood points for buying a perk that you've already seen in the shrine. Now, I am gonna make a shrine video to where I think the shrine system you need to do away with the shrine system and things of that nature, but I won't get into that in this video. But I do think if you have to rebuy a perk, then you should get 250,000 blood points. So basically, this system that I'm proposing just gives people more blood points for playing Dead by Daylight, and I do believe that it would help bridge the gap between the high level play, the high level players, the players who've been playing for a long time, people who just picked the game up. Also, I believe that this would bridge the gap to where killers and survivors sort of earn the same amount of blood points, because right now as a survivor it is extremely difficult to earn blood points. It's extremely difficult. Now let me get into the blood web. And I thought that they were going to be doing something similar to this when they said they're going to be updating the blood web, but all they did was just put the node that consumes the entire blood web on people you haven't prestiged yet. That doesn't really do anything. While I do like that, I don't have to consume every node one by one, because that shit took fucking 20 minutes if you had a lot of blood points. I think that it can be more refined than what we have now. So I propose a system where you're able to mass buy levels. And let me tell you what I mean by this. A prestige level in Dead by Daylight costs, give or take, about 1 million blood points. Somewhere around that number. It costs about 1 million blood points. So I believe that if you have 2 million blood points, you should automatically be able to buy 2 prestiges. So, like, for example, if you're like prestige, 10 level 5, then if you spend your 2 million blood points, then you're now going to be prestige 12 level 5. You get what I'm saying? If you have 1 million blood points, you should be able to buy 1 prestige. If you have 750,000 blood points, then you should be able to buy 3/4 of a prestige, which is about 37 levels, give or take. If you have 500,000 blood points, you should be able to buy 25 levels. If you have 250,000 blood points, you should be able to buy 12 levels. Do you get where I'm going with this? It will make it to where you're not just sitting there at the screen spending blood points for fucking 10 minutes. It will make it to where you don't have to spend as much time on that, because that's extremely annoying, especially during events where you have to you get a lot of blood points very quickly. Now you're just sitting there at the screen spending a lot of fucking blood points, right? I think that it would be nice for the game. Now you're probably like, well, Duckhead, well, what about the add-ons and items you get? I think that if you do buy prestige levels, a certain amount of prestige levels ahead, like 2 prestige levels ahead, 1 prestige level ahead, 50 level, 25 levels ahead, etc., etc. I believe that you should be able to choose how much of each item that you want. So like you should be able to choose what item the game prioritizes for you. So for example, me as a survivor, I like getting flashlights. So I would have my preference set to, okay, I spend 2 million blood points. Now give me some flashlights. I want the most flashlights I can get. So they give you a certain amount of very rare flashlights. They give you a certain amount of rare flashlights and a certain amount of uncommon flashlights. And conversely, as killer, you should be able to choose what kind of items you want. So do you want ultra rare items or add-ons? Sorry. Do you want very rare add-ons? Do you want a combination? I'd like to see that. I think that these things would make the blood web system a little more refined and smoother. It would maybe confusing for newer players, but for those players who've been playing a long time, it will make us spend less time consuming a bunch of fucking nodes, because that's just so boring. But anyway, let me know what you think about the blood point system in Dead by Daylight. Do you agree with the ideas that I've laid forth? Do you have any other ideas that I didn't mention? Let me know in the comment section down below. Anyway, I'm out this bitch. Y'all have a good one. Bye. Going.